1983 was the year of Stephen King at the movies, seeing the release of 3 cinematic adaptations of his novels, The Dead Zone, Cujo, and Christine. Christine is an important turning point in the career of director John Carpenter. It signified when things started going to shit. In the last part of the 70s, John Carpenter was the fucking king. His third feature film, Halloween, would not only go down in history as one of the greatest horror movies ever made, it was also
the most successful independent production in history. Give us an idea what that means.
The movie cost $300,000 to make and it made $70 million.
Carpenter parlayed his talent into his first big studio movie, a remake of Howard Hawks' The Thing.
I would imagine kids will be lining up around the equator to see this one.
Tragically, that didn't happen. The Thing was Carpenter's first big disappointment. The critics tore it apart, and the box office was lackluster. Released in the summertime, just a few weeks after the juggernaut that was Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial, The Thing would have to wait years before being reappraised and recognized as the master of science fiction horror that it is. The hard road The Thing suffered wounded Carpenter. 30 years later, Guillermo del Toro reminded Carpenter of how The Thing has now found its audience, and movie fans consider it one of the best of the 80s horror films. "What fucking good does that do to me?" Carpenter responded. John Carpenter wasn't looking to make the movie version of Stephen King's Christine. It wasn't a project that arose from his interests, like Escape from New York or The Fog. It was just a job, the only one he was offered in the wake of The Thing's failure. I notice his reservations about making the movie didn't stop him from putting his name above the title. Why not? Hey, if you're gonna whore yourself, fucking own it! Christine shows Carpenter at the top of his game. Shot in widescreen, this has to be the most elegant-looking movie based on a Stephen King novel. Considering how many of his books wound up being cheapo TV productions and low-budget schlock fests, Christine and Kubrick's The Shining are the best King has ever looked on film. As everybody knows, even if they haven't seen the movie or read the book, Christine is an evil car with a mind of its own. We first see her on the assembly line. Look at the hood bite that guy's hands. Not even finished being built and already she's starting shit. I noticed they didn't go full Monty Python and have the car bite his hands right off. It's a classy movie. Now who's this asshole? You're gonna sit in a brand new car smoking a cigar? Oh yeah, the buyer's gonna be real happy when his new car smells like an ashtray. Then again, it's 1957. Everything smelled like an ashtray back then. Christine doesn't appreciate this lack of respect. She locks the doors and kills the guy. Carbon monoxide, maybe? I like how the guy who finds the body calls for help by honking the horn, instead of running off to tell somebody. So it's 20 years later, and we got a couple of high school chums. Football star Dennis, and nerd boy Arnie. The actor playing Arnie really goes over the top. It's neat how the car rig looks just like the one in Halloween. The conversation between the two guys is interesting. They're supposed to be talking about girls, but it sounds like they're hinting about how much they'd rather be with each other.
Arnie, I was thinking, now that we're gonna be seniors, I figured it's about time that we got you laid. Huh?
I need a girl to get laid.
Fuck you, Arnie. I mean, what do you care if you get a little hair in your mouth, huh? Come on, Arnie.
I think maybe I'll just beat off.
Okay.
At school, Dennis is well liked, but Arnie finds himself in the crosshairs of the bullies. Jesus, these guys are legit scary. They're not just calling Arnie Four Eyes, they look like they would actually kill him. I swear, if I had psychos this intense at my school, I would have dropped out. Hey, look at that one bully! That's the kid Venkman gives the electric shocks to at the beginning of Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So when Arnie and Dennis are driving home, they spot old Christine, and Arnie decides he has to buy her.
Brand new she was. She had the smell of a brand new car.
New car smell of what? Cigar smoke and dead guy?
Do you realize she's 20 years old? I mean, that makes her officially an antique.
I thought something had to be 50 years old to be considered an antique. I mean, are my Power of the Force action figures antiques? Is my VHS of Mrs. Doubtfire an antique? Once Arnie is driving around in Christine, he's a changed man. Just like that asshole in Can't Buy Me Love.
He's going from totally geek.
Totally chic.
Arnie is so cool now, he starts going out with the most sought-after girl in high school. Here's Arnie, Christine, and the girl at the drive-in. But Christine becomes jealous of the new girl, and somehow causes her to nearly choke to death on a hamburger. The bullies are still pissed off at Arnie, so they bust the shit out of Christine. However, being a supernatural car, Christine is able to buff that damage right out. The scene of the car repairing itself is quite good. The simplicity of the effects make them realistic. You really believe you're seeing steel remold itself. I can only imagine the shitty, over-the-top CGI a modern-day remake would employ. They'd be unable to resist making it too fancy, and it would wind up looking like a cartoon. Christine now wants to kill everybody who gave Arnie a hard time. She kills the fat bully, running him down in an alleyway. Even though she's moving so slow, the guy could have jumped on the hood and gotten away, instead of standing there waiting for her to crush him. She kills the other bullies at a gas station, causing a big explosion, leading to the movie's best visual, a flaming Christine cruising down the highway, looking like Ghost Rider. At the very end of the movie, Dennis and the girl lure Christine to a warehouse so they can destroy her. Along the way, Arnie gets killed. Maybe he would have had a better chance of surviving if he didn't pull that giant shard of glass out of himself. Good job. Now you're hemorrhaging uncontrollably inside. In the book, Dennis crushes Christine with a pink septic truck named Petunia. That wasn't quite cinematic enough, so in the movie, he uses a bulldozer. Christine has no chance against that sucker. She's pulverized. Looks like a lion trying to fuck a mouse. Car enthusiasts hate these kind of movies, because the filmmakers are really destroying classic cars, of which there are a finite number. I remember Quentin Tarantino saying the producers of Death Proof had to lie about what they were going to do with the classic cars they were buying for the movie, otherwise collectors wouldn't sell to them. Christine is by no means a bad movie. It's certainly one of the less embarrassing of the Stephen King adaptations, but it lacks that spark that sets apart the truly great films. Incredibly, it outperformed The Thing, both at the box office and with the critics. Even horror movie curmudgeon Siskel and Ebert gave Christine a positive review.
We wish this were true. It's a great fantasy that we wish were true.
I still feel bad about The Thing. I can't help but imagine there is an alternate universe where John Carpenter enjoyed a long career making innovative big studio pictures, and David Letterman didn't jinx him.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you on The Thing. I have a hunch it will do quite well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dave.